How many deals have you done on the MLS and working with agents?
I think we're at like 800 something total.
How much revenue do you think you've made doing your MLS and agent outreach method?
The last 3.5 years, we made just a little bit under 5 million. Aside from that, my career of wholesaling, probably about 7.5.
Why do you think you failed your first year wholesaling?
First off,
Ryan Zolin, how's it going, baby?
what's up, bro? How's it going?
Good. I'm doing an Arizona trip where I'm getting the biggest investors in Arizona on the podcast. So it's not my normal setup, but yeah, I wanted to have you on because I know you are the king at working with agents. You have a very unique strategy as a wholesaler and flipper.
Appreciate
But
that.
before we get into your wholesale business, can you give people like your quick backstory, who you are, where you're from,
sure.
all that?
Yeah, I always like to kind of start it off just by saying I know I look like I'm a baby. I've been doing
Like,
real
who is this
estate.
14-year-old guy?
Literally, though. And so if this is someone's first time hearing me, my name is Ryan Zolin. I'm 26. I've been doing real estate for 8 years. So I
Oh,
started
wow.
at 18. Fresh out of high school, no college experience, no background in real estate, no family connections, anything like that. Just started at the bottom. I went to real estate school because I didn't know what else to do.
Mhm.
Got my real estate license. Pretty much again started on the bottom. Worked on a team. Went and found a mentor. Built my own team. Learned what wholesaling was. Made my way over there, and now I'm the guy that finds all the deals on the MLS and by working with real estate agents.
How many deals have you done on the MLS and working with agents?
I don't like being the guy that's like gonna hype up numbers because every now and then
Yeah.
you hear someone's like, 5,000.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think we're at like 800 something total in my career, but if I had to guess ballpark MLS, probably 450, 500.
Dang, so you did 800 deals with
Yeah.
realtors.
Realtors helping people buy and sell homes,
Yeah.
commercial deals, development deals, lending.
Got
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Like, how much revenue do you think you've made doing your MLS and agent outreach method?
Like sales volume,
Yeah.
it's a tough one. I don't know, 600 to 800 million. something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
But what about like wholesale revenue?
Wholesale revenue, like assignment fees.
Yeah.
The last 3.5 years, we made just a little bit under 5 million.
Wow.
But aside from that, my career of wholesaling, probably about 7.5. Kept in, pay out after everything, taxes, all that, about
Yeah.
3.5 to 4.
Yeah. So you made about $5 million working with agents. So we could say you're an expert. Yeah. We could say you might know something.
If I'm not one of the best, I'll probably be up there in the conversation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So, I guess let's talk about your journey into wholesaling,
Sure.
right? So you got your real estate license.
Yeah.
What made you get into wholesaling instead of being a realtor?
Yeah, I always give kudos where it's deserved. And my buddy Templeton Walker actually went to a lunch with me or a breakfast or whatever it was. And he was doing agent outreach to me prior to me even really understanding what agent outreach was.
Okay.
So what I mean by that was that we went to breakfast and he's like, hey, just send me your deals and do all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And similar to what you just asked me, I was like, well, you're a realtor, I'm a realtor. Bro, we're competition. Like, what do you mean send me
Trying to
deals?
steal my listings,
Yeah,
dude.
like get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, well, actually, dude, I make like 400,000 on the side wholesaling. I usually make X amount of dollars in flipping and whatever else all the numbers were. The thing that stuck to me was like 400, and
Yeah.
he said on the side, and I was like, I am a very good realtor at my brokerage. I have all the accolades. I've gotten the trophies and all that fun stuff. And I'm at like 120 this year. Like, how did you on the side make 400,000? And so I actually walked away from a team of like 23 agents that I had just built up with the guy that was my mentor, where I was the face of the brokerage.
Yeah.
So I walked away from all these big things because I saw opportunity in wholesale from what this one guy told me this one time I met him.
That's so
It was
funny.
super crazy. And it was a blessing in disguise because I got humbled. I went
Yeah.
from making what was about 120 to 130 that year before as a realtor to the projection of about like 60K the year after.
Oh, damn.
So I took a huge step back trying to learn wholesaling and the investment stuff. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I left that brokerage that I was at with that guy, Templeton, where I met Steve Trang. So Temp introduced me to Steve. Steve took me under his wing and he said, I'll introduce you to a bunch of people that you've never met before.
Yeah.
And then it was like a month, maybe 2 months later, he introduced me to Jamil Damji. And I went to Jamil's office and he was like, hey, I've got this course I'm going to be launching. It's called Astro Flipping. It's about like 2 weeks out. And I was like, how much is it? Here's my wallet. Like, didn't even ask. I ended up breaking it into a couple payments, but one of the best investments I've ever made in my entire life.
Interesting. So I used to be a realtor too. I don't know if you knew that, but I was a good realtor. I was at Berkshire Hathaway. And
This was California, right?
Well, I started in Vegas at Berkshire Hathaway, and then I moved to California and I joined Intero Real Estate. I don't know if you know Intero. there's a guy, there was a big broker at the time. His name was Danny Morale.
Okay.
He was like huge, popular guy because he was loud and he did these big ass sales meetings. So, quick backstory: I moved to California, started at zero. I have a picture. We might try to post it where I have it. I started at the bottom. I had zero everything, and then I got to literally the top. Not like one of the tops. I was the top agent, right?
Yep.
But I was working all the time. I was, doing open houses. I was door knocking. I was doing all the realtor shenanigans, right?
Yep.
And then I started getting burnt out. And then I came across an investor, and he told me, I'm simplifying the story, but he's like, "Oh, I make like 50K a flip." And I was like, "What the
Yeah.
dude, I'm busting my ass for 6K on these
a
short sales."
commission,
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's 6K. And then I still got to pay my broker, and I got to pay
Taxes.
all this,
Yep.
they charge all these points and all this crap. So, that's what got me into flipping houses too. Cause I was just like, dude, like, again, I same as you. I got the trophies. I'd be up there in a whole suit,
Oh yeah,
you
you
know.
were the guy.
Yeah,
You were the
I
big
got
guy.
my phone on me all the time. I think I'm cool.
Yep.
And then you're like, "Oh, this guy that looks like a scrub wearing sandals is making 50K. I'm wearing a whole ass suit with
And
my
it's not
white
even him doing the
BMW."
work. He's
Yeah.
got the contractors, he's got the wholesalers that bring in the deals or whatever his acquisition team does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a light bulb moment for sure. Like you were like, wait a second, there's a different world here.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized for the first time agents and investors don't play in the same pool. They both have egos in their own pools.
Oh, for sure.
So
100%. So, why do you think, and I'm going to say this in a dramatic way, why do you think you failed your first year wholesaling? Because you went from 120 to 60.
First off, this is like a huge testimony to astro flipping. I didn't have a blueprint. I was trusting in just another person, and this is nothing against Steven Temp. Temp's an amazing human being, one of my best friends. The problem I had was everyone's busy. So if you don't have modules to follow, if you don't have a blueprint, a roadmap, checklists, if you don't know what you're supposed to do every single day, how do you track anything? So I was juggling being a realtor and trying to keep that business going to then fund what I only knew as direct to seller acquisitions, which was skip tracing, paying for VAs, building out systems and whatnot. And so I tried that slightly, didn't want to spend too much money. And then when I learned what the astro flipping model was, I did that. The micro flipping deals were very difficult for me. That was the being in the middle of the acquisition, disposition wholesaler. Too much lies, too much games. There was way too much going on. So I tried going back direct to seller again. So unfortunately in the story, I failed twice. Once without a blueprint and then once with a blueprint, just trying too many different strategies.
Got it. So you were doing so you did that 60K trying to do direct to seller. And then you started doing.
I learned from Steve and from Astro and from a few other people locally just what to do and how to go and source deals. And so then I tried direct to seller again. And I pretty much wiped out like the 250, 300,000 I had in my bank account from being a realtor going direct to seller.
No way.
Like,
I didn't know
talking
that.
Less than $300 in my bank account.
No way. Really?
This was 2021.
Really?
Yeah,
and that was a pretty good market.
Yeah, 2019, 2020. It was right around the pandemic. It was the pandemic was the first year I actually blew up and had everything go for me. 2020 I made 250, 2019 I mean we didn't really do well.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you blow 300K in marketing?
Everything that I thought I was supposed to do from the gurus online. This was paying for VAs. This was skip tracing data. This was paying 10K for CRMs because that's what I thought I had to do.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Going to masterminds, going and paying for any type of coaching possible. Analysis paralysis. I was the king of that. So I just consumed as much as I could. I paid for everything because I thought I had to delegate everything, and I didn't go into every seat in my company. So I was trying to teach things that I didn't even do myself. And it was a mess.
I call it the scale trap. So at Wealthy Investor, I've coached thousands of people, literally thousands, right? And what happens is newer people, they don't know real estate, right? So that's one whole thing. Learning real estate, learning what escrow does, learning what is FHA, conventional, learning home inspections, learning, some minor repairs and the way the process works. They don't know that, right? So they come in not knowing that, and then maybe they get lucky and get a wholesale deal for 10K, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna scale this. I'm gonna scale
I
this.
go do 10 of these a month.
Yeah. So then they go hire people. They go
Yep.
buy 3 different courses. They learn from Pace, Ryan, and Carlos Reyes or whoever they want to pick.
Yep.
And then they're learning all these things at the same time. And then some of them do scale their revenue, but then their expenses scale equal,
And so
right?
they're breaking it even.
They're breaking even.
Yep.
And I swear to you, I've coached so many people where I'm like, dude, you're making 100K a month, but you're spending 75.
Yep. And by the time taxes are paid
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're even paying yourself back, hopefully,
Yeah,
you're not making anywhere near what
Yeah.
it should.
exactly. And then
Yep.
the rebuttal I always get is like, well, I'm at 100, but if I can get it to 200 now with this, then
But how
you
much
know,
more work is it going to take? And then
Yeah.
also the thing that is the blinders, you don't realize how much more money it's going to take to get
oh,
there.
for sure.
And
Yeah.
even so, to play the devil's advocate side of it, I had real estate experience, probably sold 50, 60 million before becoming an investor.
Exactly.
And so I understood the escrows, the contracts,
Yeah.
all that stuff that was easy. The hard part for me was that as a realtor, I was taught to value leads. So
Mhm.
I didn't know that I could go on the MLS. I didn't know I could contact realtors. I thought I had to go and pull direct to seller data, and then those were my leads.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing for, I don't know, it was like a year, and
Yeah.
it just was a mess.
Yeah.
So I only knew how to go work either as a middleman to a bunch of people, or I knew how to go direct to seller, and neither one of those worked for me.
Yeah, for me in the beginning, so when I grew up with a single mom, right? And she didn't have money, right? And I always knew that, and that was like prominent in my growing up. So when me and my sister would go somewhere, my sister would be like, "Oh, can I have like a water?" And then my mom's like, "We don't have money." So I was like, "No, we don't have money." So my whole childhood, I'm like, "We don't have money. We can't spend. Like, don't spend. We don't have money, right?"
Yep.
So once I started making money, I had that same mindset. I'm like,
Don't spend
"Don't spend. Like, don't spend." So I didn't hire a coach. I started in 2016. I hired Ryan to coach me like the end of 2019. That was the first time I spent any money on coaching, and I
Yep.
already made $1 million in real estate. So it wasn't like I paid
awesome.
10K, but I had a few 100K in the bank, and I always paid for a dialer, and then I paid for Redx. Do you know
Yep.
what
Oh,
Redx
yeah.
is?
Data,
And
for
Redx
sure.
is not expensive.
For
Like
sure.
Redx at the time was probably a couple $100 a month, and then a dialer. That
Yep.
was it for years. So I'm lucky that I grew up that way because I always was just so scared to spend. So I never fell into that scale trap.
I think the only reason I did it was because and I don't want to like drop name stuff like that, but social media is such bullshit, dude. Like I was just trying so hard. It was
Yeah.
keeping up with the Joneses with what I
Oh,
thought I
for
was
sure.
supposed to do.
For
and
sure.
so it was very common. I could say this with confidence, at least in Arizona. I could name off like 30 people that at the same time as me were also spending money on the $10,000 CRM.
Oh,
and you
for
get the
sure.
CRM and it's like, well,
What do you do with it?
I'm
Yeah.
not even doing mailers. Why do I have
Yeah.
a mailer section?
Yeah.
So it's like you start looking at all these like technicalities and you realize that the learning curve is actually not helping you, it's hurting you.
Yeah. 100%.
And you need to just take action and make mistakes and then
100%.
bring it back to your mentorships or bring it back to your JV partners or your
Yeah.
buyers or whoever
Yep.
and learn by doing.
100%.
So
And I think, and then we'll get into agent outreach, but
Yeah.
a big thing that I've seen too, and everyone I'm going to name, they are great and awesome. And at some point, you should go buy their crap, right? But let's say I'm not even going to say names anymore. Let's just say they have one coach that he specializes in creative finance, right? And they're like, all right, I'm doing creative finance. I did a deal, creative finance. This is great. There's another coach that does flipping. I'm gonna go buy flipping. They go buy flipping, they kind of learn. And then there's another coach that teaches operations and systems.
Mhm.
And they're like, that's what I need. I
Yep.
need operations and systems. And they spend literally half of their revenue in just coaching.
Oh yeah.
And then the gurus are like, oh, you got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in yourself,
And
which
you
is
need all of it.
true.
You need all of it.
But sometimes, like, you need to perfect one thing. And when I say perfect, I believe that's like making $1 million or growing your net worth by $1 million before you do something else.
Wow.
Even till this day, I don't do creative finance.
Yep.
And people are like, but you could maximize your leads. You could do this. You could do that. And there's nothing wrong with creative finance. But I'm really good at flipping and wholesaling and buying rentals. I use DSCR loans and I do the BRRRR strategy.
Yep.
I don't need to do all these different things.
Well, and that's just it. I think that's the main thing, that if you were to ask someone, do you want to go make $1 billion or do you want to make $1 million every year? Most
Yeah.
people, I think, would say $1 million every year.
Yeah.
And it's because the $1 million every year could be that stability, and it's
Yes.
from active income.
Yep.
So if active income is something you have control of, I'm all for passive.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people don't realize how much money you need to invest or spend in order
yeah.
to create the passive income you want.
Yeah. 100%.
So, for example, I mean, like a 10% return is pretty freaking good, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we're talking $4 million out and you could make 10% on that, that's not that much money.
No.
Like, not yearly.
Yeah.
So,
And most people don't have $4 million.
thank you. That's where I
Yeah,
was going with it.
yeah.
And so, for $4 million to be able to be made, it's actually through your active income. And then you learn how to lower your taxes from that active income. And that's usually by buying real estate.
Yeah.
So I do the same thing. I primarily wholesale. We acquire deals is what we call
Yeah.
it. We, out of our 8-9 acquisitions, we flip one of them, and then from there we buy usually a few rentals per year to lower our taxes.
Okay.
So
So now let's teach people agent outreach. So
Yep.
when you first started doing agent outreach, like how did that go?
So full circle, I lost all my money. I went back to the drawing board. I went back to my relationships because I didn't have any more money to spend. So
Mhm.
I called up Steve. I called up my buddy Templeton, and I went to a few coffee shops. I'm like, yo, this one bad thing in my life just happened on a personal note, and then also too on a business note. I've lost all my money. This is not me looking for pity or any kind of sob story. I just want to know advice. Like, what would you do here? I feel like I'm fucked.
Mhm.
And they were like, well, how many offers are you submitting? And I was like, offers? I'm like, what do you mean offers? I have 30,000 leads that I've paid for. Like,
Yeah.
help me close these leads. They're like, you need to submit more offers. And so
Yeah.
then Temp reminded me, he's like, dude, do you remember how we got in contact? It was by me taking you to breakfast. I'm not telling you to wine and dine people, but the cool part about this is that if you reach out to realtors, they work leads as well. So if
Mm.
you start contacting enough realtors and you do this enough times in the day, I promise you a realtor will bring you a deal, bring it to me, and I'll help you close it.
Mm.
And so I was like, all right, I guess that makes sense. And I'd already gone through Astro flipping. So I had all the contracts. I knew the concept. I knew what I had to do. And so I just got on the phones. Like, I'm talking 12, 13, 14-hour days, literally just calling realtors nonstop off my cell phone, using a notepad, writing down first name, last name, phone number, email. And then I learned.
Did you save it?
Oh yeah, big time. I've got them
Yeah.
all like in this
Yeah.
like big box. But my notepads and spreadsheets in my cell phone was all that I had. And so
Uh-huh.
I was averaging out probably about 100, 150 conversations a day. And then I was
Dang.
mixing that with about 10 to 15 written purchase contracts, which, by the way, I didn't have a TC. I was doing them myself,
Damn.
actually putting together the A to B contract, sending it out to the agents. And then I started to create a process.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then like walk me through your first deal.
Yeah, so I had that $300 in my bank account, and I was like, well, shoot, my rent's due, my phone bill's due, my gas bill's due, all this stuff was due. And I was
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do? I went and I was like, I'm going to give it this last month. So literally 28 days later of just having enough conversations, submitting offers, I got an agent to bring me a deal, 30K.
Mhm.
And I was like, holy cow. Like, I
Yeah.
ended up turning around, bringing it, I don't know if it was Temp or it was a different buyer, but I ended up closing the deal. I got paid 30,000, and that was my first crossroad where I was like, whoa, I just had $300. Now I've got 30,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay anybody else out on this because I did it all on my own. Do I take this 30 and invest into more direct to seller?
Yes.
Or literally, dude, like, this is what crossed my mind. I'm like, do I go back direct to seller, or do I do what I just did that didn't cost me any money? It just
Yeah.
costed a lot of time.
Yeah.
And do it again and again and again. That ended up being the first 250 a year.
250 a year.
Yeah.
Just doing agent outreach.
Just agent outreach, making calls to agents primarily as the focus, and
Yeah.
then submitting offers in my free time on the MLS.
Yeah. And then like what systems were you using to make that 250?
Literally the first year, Google Sheets, a notepad, and my cell phone. Nothing else. The spreadsheets came into play because I was talking to too many realtors that I started forgetting who to follow up with or who was
Yeah.
who. So I started putting emojis next to names in my phone. I
Yeah.
started putting it into spreadsheets.
Eggplant, you're like, this is a good one.
It was green, yellow, red.
Yeah.
but,
Okay. Okay.
Active, somewhat active, and then not active. So I would just
okay.
keep tabs on who was sending me deals.
Yeah.
And then from there, the spreadsheet, I started to create what is now our tier system and agent investors
Yeah.
based on either you're a licensed realtor and that's it, to you've brought me multiple deals and I know I need to follow up with you at least multiple times per week.
Got it. So Google Sheets, baby.
That
I
was it.
freaking love Google Sheets.
And then it went
yeah.
to Podio. It was a little bit of like I
That's
touched the
worse.
stove and I
Step
got
down.
burned.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I going to do this again? Because the CRM I paid 10 grand for was on Podio. So
Yeah.
I went back to the free version of it. I built that out. It was functional.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a step up from Google Sheets.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, to this day, my best organization comes from Google Sheets.
Got it. Yeah.
So
I mean, I freaking love Google Sheets, dude.
Yeah.
All my main things are on Google Sheets. It's terrible, but for me, it's easy, and I know
that's how I am.
I know how to look. I could like
Yeah.
put the little summary thing. It's awesome.
100%.
So, okay, so you did 250. What year was that? Was that
2020.
2020? Okay. And then what happened in 2021?
We did 1.6, 1.7.
Okay. So how did you scale agent outreach?
So basically what I realized was a few things. One, the agent conversations were better because it was me, and I mean that without like ego. I understand what realtors were thinking, feeling, wanting, believing, all that stuff.
100%.
So I wasn't sending the BS. Are you still a realtor? Do you have any off-market opportunities?
Yeah.
I was sending messages like, look, I know I'm a Bears fan and football season's popping up, so as long as you don't send me a deal on Sunday, I'm going to be the first person to respond, and I'll give you non-refundable earnest money. And so I found like ways just to incorporate little details of like what's happening in the real world. And then I started bringing that same philosophy to the conversation with the agent, and they appreciated it. It wasn't a bot. It wasn't a VA. It didn't feel like I was spamming them.
Yeah.
It felt like I'm just a legitimate investor that's trying to work with a realtor. I'm human. Hello, here I am.
Yeah.
And if you have something, cool. If you don't, okay.
Wow.
And then I started creating follow-up processes. So our tier 1, I follow up with them once a quarter.
Yeah.
I think this is where we blow our competition out of the water.
Okay.
To this day, it's the same thought process. Most of my competition texts realtors, which I don't believe works anyway. But now what I will say is the difference is that we have tier 1. These are people just licensed in realtors that are not sending me stuff.
Yeah.
My competition contacts those people consistently every single month over and over and over.
Yeah.
I work with the people that I speak to the most, which are the ones that bring me the most amount of deals or the ones I've closed the most amount of deals with.
Yeah.
So I'll spend the same amount of time that you will calling realtors. The difference is I'm calling people that have active listings, they've done a deal with me, or they're actively sending me properties, whereas most people are spending time working with realtors that just have a license.
Yeah.
So once we started catching on just from the quantity of conversations, I realized I needed better quality. So we created a tier system, tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tier 5 I follow up with once every week, if not twice. These are people that I'm like VIPs. Like I know their family, I know their anniversary dates, I know their birthdays. The ones that care, I know their whatever astrology signs.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is,
Yeah.
I'm there with them. And these
funny.
are the people that make me a lot of money.
Yeah. So what, I guess process wise, what did it take to go from 250 to 1.2?
Dude, honestly, it sounds weird, but it really was just organization. Like it wasn't like there was some clear-cut strategy or something specific that I changed.
Yeah.
I hired more people. I had more organization. We had clearer systems and processes of what our KPIs were. What I did the first 250, the reason I'm so hard on like a lot of people and agent investors is because I did it without having the systems, without having the sales training, without having any kind of fancy automations. It was all just clear-cut hard work of notepad, 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 file it the day of. Like what I feel like people would probably do business as in 1990. Like I was doing the old school way.
Yeah.
Now it's, what did we do? The tier system, we had better follow-up processes, we submitted more offers, and then you find little details and things that you could do, like what we did from 2021 to 2023, letters of intent. Absolutely crushed it. We found tools that would automatically generate them. We would send out more of those.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a formal purchase contract that would be 5 a day that would take me 2 hours of paperwork.
Yeah.
It's now a letter of intent. You click a few buttons and it gets more out.
Yeah. So for people that don't know what a letter of intent is, it's pretty much like a letter that you send to the realtor saying, hey, I'm interested in this property. Do you put the purchase price that you're interested? You put all the terms.
And then we even had like the fancy line at the bottom, like if this doesn't work, we might have creative solutions. And I'm the same page as you. I don't do creative finance, but I will JV the deal and send it to someone else, and then they'll pay me a finder's fee or whatever.
Yeah. So what about so when you did that 2021, when you did the 1.2, what did your team look like?
It was me doing dispositions. I had a transaction coordinator at that point. I had a couple acquisitions guys, and then we still had one VA left. We let the VA go. One of the acquisitions guys walked away. One of the guys stayed. My TC ended up being the foundation piece, and I realized how valuable he was.
Yeah.
And so then at that point, I also realized I hired incorrectly the first time, going direct to seller. I think a lot of people on the investment side hire acquisitions first because you want to get that off your plate.
Yeah.
Acquisitions are coming for your job. So I encourage you to hire a TC first. You take the dispositions as the leader of the company. And then after you've gotten 3 deals a month consistently for at least 3 months, then you could get to the point where you can afford to go and have an acquisition person come in.
Got it.
Why 3 deals? Because what's going to happen organically, one of your 3 deals in that month is going to go to the acquisition guy, meaning you're going to have 2 that you're still working. So
Yeah.
you need to make sure this acquisition person is not just taking from your deal flow, they're actually going to bring value to the company.
Yeah.
So we recommend hiring a TC first, then hiring acquisitions. And then if you choose to get to this point, which I don't encourage, you can get disposition off your plate afterwards.
Yeah.
But I still run dispo to this point.
For people that don't know, what is a TC and how much do you pay them?
Yeah, a TC is a transaction coordinator. Mine is my fiance now, but she handles everything. So like they send out the paperwork, they respond to emails, they send everything to title, they make sure to review the HUD, the settlement sheets. They basically keep me out of jail and they keep the ship moving forward without me spending much time.
Got it.
As for compensation, I usually recommend like a 24K base, so that's 2K a month.
You hire them like a salary employee. Got it.
So 2K, and then from there like 250 to 350 per transaction.
Yeah, and then there's also services or like transaction coordinators that you could pay per deal.
Yeah,
that
like
they
they're
work
usually
at
350 to
brokerages.
500.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay them a salary if you're just starting off. You just pay them per file. And the good thing about working with the TC is like if they work at a brokerage or if they have their TC company, they've done thousands of transactions, so they will help you if you're just starting off.
100%.
So I think,
and also too, the only reason we pay like that is because we want the exclusivity. And then when people join our brokerage or they join our community, I offer that as an incentive that our TC can review paperwork and help people out.
Oh, okay, cool. So, okay, so that's your TC, and then you said you had 2 acquisition people.
Yep.
What do you think pay? Okay, so let's just talk about acquisition people, right? What do you think you should pay them? What KPIs should they measure? How do you know if you can get a good one or if they're a bad one?
Acquisitions is always a tough one because I think this is what most businesses struggle with. It's people.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned a minute ago, jokingly, they're coming for your job. So one of my first things when I hire someone on acquisitions is to ask what their intentions are. I have no problem if someone comes to me and says, I want to be with you for 7 months, 8 months, whatever it is. Cool. I'm obviously not going to give you the keys to the Ferrari, but I will get you up and going. And in those 7 or 8 months, let's set some goals together. I think that's a very unique thing because most people would say they only want to be here short term. Peace out.
Yeah. That's what I would do. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you should go do that. And then, good luck.
And look, I will say there is some bias here. I'm very big on EQ. So I feel like if I can read someone in the room and they're like a good person or you could tell they need a break, I want to be that guy that gave them that chance. And on top of that, even more bonus points if they're a younger person. I feel like I am obligated, being young myself, to lead the way for the younger crowd, and I don't want them to make the same mistakes that I did.
Yeah, you're way nicer than me because so recently I had this young girl who I know she leads a Bible study at our office. Great girl, right? She was like, I was like, hey, dude, I need an acquisition person. She was like, oh, I'll do it. I was like, all right, we interviewed her. She went through 2 interviews. We're like, all right, we're gonna bring her in. She was like, yeah, I want to start doing it by myself. And I was like, hey, look, like if you come in here,
It's a commitment.
it's going to be way better because you get leads, you get this, you get that. You're not starting from scratch. And she was like, oh, I don't know. And then I was just like, you know what? Here's a non-compete. So you can't do the strategies that I'm doing here.
There's nothing
and
wrong
go
with that.
doing it.
I should also clarify, we do the same with a non-compete. It's more on the education side. I don't care about acquisitions. Maybe this is more of, this is probably ego. I've only had one person leave my company and actually go do what they said they were going to do. And I've actually gone to lunch with that person and sat down and said, yo, tip my cap to you. You're a badass. And we do deals together to this day.
Yeah.
Most of the people when they leave, it's because they think the grass is greener.
And they don't make it.
They never make
and
it.
I will say most of the time, I literally kind of already know they're not going to make it. Maybe they will. Hopefully they do. But for me now and where I'm at in my career, I am not investing time in people that I don't see a future with.
For sure.
So with this person, I was like, hey, like, here's a non-compete. And she's like, well, I don't know.
And they walk away. Yeah.
No, I told him, I was like, oh, okay, this is hard for you. Like, then this is not going to work. It's fine because I've already done it so many times where I bring someone in and I see their intentions and her intentions are not wrong. Like, and
To go and do it on your own is actually a really good thing.
It
It's
is
just
great.
most people don't realize too. They want to go do it on their own because they want the freedom, the true freedom.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't realize the amount of expense and time and
Yep.
efforts and sacrifice it takes to go and operate it on
And
your
risk. Yeah.
own. Risk, yeah, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, I mean that's always an interesting one. My team is very small now, so we've got
Yeah.
just a couple acquisition people. TC, I still do Dispo,
Yeah.
but I refuse to go and build a big acquisition team
Yeah.
because of the competition side.
Yeah.
So now, as for going back to how do you hire, intentions, and then second, I only pay off of performance. We
Mhm.
used to do a $2,000 base,
No.
and then we would do a percentage based on what the assignment fee was. Now it's just a percentage of the
Yeah.
assignment fee.
Yeah.
So
I never pay salaries on salespeople anymore.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
too hard, especially after what happened in 2022. We were over leveraged by paying too much to our people.
Yeah.
So now it's a 10, 15, 20 scale. Basically depends on the size of the assignment fee. If it's 10,000 or less, they get 10%. If it's between 10,000 and 20,000, they get 15%. If it's above 20,000, they'll get 20% on the deal.
Oh, that's really good. And then people are gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh, well, why wouldn't those people just go do it on their own?"
I encourage every single person whenever they have that thought, don't even come and talk to me. Just literally go and do it because I
Yeah.
promise you, you're not gonna be happy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times that I'm very just blunt like that, and then there's times I'm super supportive. The guy on my team right now, for example, that does acquisitions, he's my best guy, Brandon. He came to me day one and said, my intentions are that I want to create an athlete department and I want to run a division where we specialize working with people in the NBA, the NFL, and we raise capital and we do all these things. I was like, do you have any experience with this? He's like, well, I was coaching and working with athletes in the past. Cool. Well, now to this day, we have a bunch of athletes that lend money to us that we use for flips, that we use to arbitrage and so on. He runs that department, but it's because he stayed by my side and I promised him that what his vision and goal was, I would also support. So it aligned with what we wanted. I love sports,
Yeah.
but it was able to be a win-win where I understood what his intention and goal was. So I found a way to make that part of the path with what we're doing together.
Got it. Okay.
So,
And then how many acquisition people have you gone through? And like how many how many acquisition people does it take to get a good one?
I don't know how many. I think I'm at like close to 40.
No
Yeah,
way.
I'm
Really?
if not 40, it's for sure mid 30s. Yeah.
Damn.
And we've had
Which is good. I mean, people need
Yeah.
to understand that. So I had Grant Cardone's president on my podcast, Jared.
Yeah.
Bro, they are savages.
Yeah.
They're
they'll
savages.
hire 50 and then like day one get rid of 25.
Oh yeah, bro. They're
Yeah.
like turn and burn. They're like, I don't give a shit how many people. They're like, the best salesperson is not in this room. They're the person that's coming in.
Mhm.
So they're like, freaking get them in, and
Yeah.
if they work.
And
But
I
now,
think it depends on what you determine or qualify as like success because like out of the 40, we've made enough money off of them and they've made money from us to where I would say out of like that 40 number, 20 to 25 of them, we were good.
yeah,
The other 15, 20, I mean,
a waste of time.
learn and
Yeah,
move on. And
yeah.
but yeah, it definitely is tough. I mean,
So do you feel like you're better at hiring now or no? Not still.
I am better at setting expectations now.
Oh,
I'm not
That
as
was
good.
deep.
Yeah, no.
That
So
was
I'm not.
deep.
I'm actually the last person to talk to with hiring in my team.
Yeah.
They speak to my fiance first. They
Yeah.
talk to people on my team. They have like a formal interview process, and then we don't follow up with them. They have to follow up with us. And then once they make it to
Oh.
the point of talking to everybody in line, and then they get to me, I might put on like this like front that I'm like so scary. I'm a teddy bear. So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
when
yeah.
people come in the room, I'm like, welcome. Like,
Yeah.
Like
You're
welcome,
hired, dude.
welcome
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
love you. Like awesome.
Yeah.
So no, I'm pretty lenient on that side, but expectation setting, I tell them you're gonna hate your life a lot of days. This is not gonna be easy. There's
Mm.
sometimes that you're gonna question what you're even doing, and in any of those moments, you're probably right. But you also need to accept what this reality is of real estate.
Yeah.
It's not a 9 to 5. It's not
Yeah.
a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks. It's not a I have kill in front of me every single day.
Yeah.
You have to hunt. And so we want people that are going to be ambitious, that are willing to sacrifice, that are going to understand the ebbs and flows. And then once they get past that storm, we can all enjoy the sunshine together.
Yeah, I want to talk about what you have them do day to day, but something that I learned with business is normally whenever you feel like things aren't right in your business with someone or a team member, it's usually because you didn't set expectations
course.
correctly. That's with
course.
sellers, that's with team members, that's with your wife, that's with anyone. So I have people that come up to me and they're like, dude, in our coaching, they're like, dude, I have a partner. He's not doing what he said he was gonna do, or da da da
He
da.
doesn't even know he's doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I'm like, well, did you tell him that? Oh, okay. You told him, but he didn't change. Well, did you tell him that? Hey, you need to do X, Y, Z, or
Of course not.
I feel like this? No. So like, if you just do the work on the front end, everything will go so smooth. But when you're kind of lazy or you just don't know, which is fine when you don't know.
Expectations are
Yeah.
easier to hold accountable than assumptions.
Oh,
So
bro, that's a gem right there.
like when
for
people
sure.
think of well, why wouldn't they do this? Because they weren't told to.
Yeah.
Like the reason they're on your team is because they are not able to go and do it on their own.
Yeah.
So it's your responsibility to set the expectation.
Yep.
It's your responsibility to set the tone.
Yep.
If I go into the office, virtual office, and I'm like, yo, guys, what's going on? And the vibe's off, it's my responsibility to get it going again. It's not their responsibility to come and be at 100% every single day. Otherwise, they probably are fit to go and do it on their own.
Yeah.
So that's what it's
Yeah.
all about as a team. And I know you asked about like day to day. I don't hire and have a big team now because I'm more lenient, and it's
Yeah.
where I'm at just in my career. It's where I'm
Yeah.
at financially. I mean this with all love, and even my team watching this, I love you guys. I just don't care. I can go make enough money from what I do on my own,
Yeah.
from a lot of the mentors that taught me. The money that my team makes is not where I get rich. Where I get rich is off of my stuff.
Oh,
So I
okay.
can go and close 30, 40, 50 deals a year on my own. Just me and one TC, me and agent investors doing my thing. My team knows that, and they love that about me, and they respect that because they know I don't need them. I want them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they don't need to be with me. They want to be with me.
Okay.
So together, what do I care about? Offers and conversations. The rest of your day, I don't give a shit. Like, however you structure your day, you know what you need to do. You need to send at least 10 offers per day. You need to have at least 50 conversations. You need to hit all of your follow-ups and make sure your unreads are at 0. All of your tasks are completed.
Yeah.
Aside from that, you want to go golfing at 2?
Do
Can
it.
I come?
Yeah.
Like, that's literally where we're at as a company and as a team.
Got it.
And pretty consistently where we're at is about 500 to 750 offers out per month. We'll close about 5 to 7. 10's a good month right now.
Yeah.
And then on like a really slow or bad month, like 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. So, okay, let's go back to you want them to make 10 offers a day. That's on the MLS.
On the MLS.
So they're on the MLS themselves, just scanning the MLS.
Well, so we've got some proprietary things that we built out that like tracks what list is the best to go after, or hey, this person or this one property's on multiple lists. So my team has like some little tips and tricks that they
Yeah.
don't use. And then we use OfferGun. OfferGun is an amazing tool.
Is
Like,
Jeff's? Is that Jeff's?
Oh, yeah.
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 Jeff was in Wealthy Investor. Jeff is so funny.
He came and spoke at our mastermind.
He spoke. Good
couple
for
weeks ago.
Jeff, dude.
Unbelievable, dude. Like
Jeff is so funny. We
one of-
closed a deal together. Did he tell you that?
no.
I think his first flip, or one of his first flips was with me. He brought it from a wholesaler. I was like, dude, I'll put up the money. I'll do everything. Let's split it. And then I think he made like 30K or something like that.
Nice.
But
Jeff's
yeah,
a
just
beast.
funny.
He's so the thing I really appreciate about him, it's very rare you find someone in like a SaaS or software business that is actually real estate background or real estate focused.
Yeah.
And so he always says he's a tech guy that does real estate.
Yeah,
but
he's
the
not
fact-
a realtor guy.
But the fact that he has a license and he understands the lingo of the investment world makes him as lethal as he is.
Yeah.
So,
I used to call him Geoff
Geoff.
because the way he spelled his name, Geoff.
That's so funny.
He was on my coaching calls. I was like, Geoff. He's like, it's Jeff. I was like, oh, sorry. And then next time I'm like, Geoff.
That's so
I'm an idiot. But
He's awesome.
oh, that's funny. So for people that don't know, OfferGun is just like a system that helps you like shoot out offers faster, pretty much.
Generates the purchase contract. You can type in whatever data you want. You have preset like drop downs or whatever. So
Yeah.
it pulls all the information. You just type in the address. You click on a button. It generates the contract. What normally takes realtors, transaction coordinators, or an investor 30 minutes average, maybe 15 to 20 if they're good at their job.
Yeah.
We do it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, depending on the day, depending on the month, where we're at, we'll sometimes spray and pray some offers. Sometimes we'll just go sniper approach one by one by one.
Yeah.
But we were doing this prior to this year without OfferGun, and now having it's just a game changer.
Okay. So before we get to your production, I want to stay on your team. So
Cool.
you want them to do 10 offers a day, which I feel like is so low, but 50 conversations a day, that's a healthy amount. That's not low. That's not high. That's like a good amount, especially if they're like good conversations.
Yeah.
Do you care about their talk time or any of that stuff? No. What phone system do you want them to use?
We're using high level.
Oh, Go High Level. Got it. Yeah, I'm using Go High Level right now, but I might switch to Close.
Yeah,
just because I feel
we've got
like
friends that use both. Close is really good, I think, for like the follow ups and like the organization. I think
yeah,
high level is better for the um, zaps, the tying everything together, having it
yeah.
all one in central
Yeah,
place.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why we use it. But I feel like for sales, I feel like it's a little hard.
close is
Like, yeah,
better for the sales rep.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so you're using Go High Level, 1510. Um, what KPIs are you seeing from like your average acquisition person, like offers to contract to
Yeah.
closing?
So it really depends on the strategy, sniper or shotgun.
Yeah.
Shotgun, we're more of a 75 offers out to get a deal. And
Mm.
then if we are sniper, which is the more calculated, comping it, calling the agent, then sending the offer, we're usually about one in every 50
One in every 50, and that's to get a contract
closed. I mean, our close
closed.
rate's pretty high. It's like 75%.
Oh, okay. So like every 4 contracts, one might fall out.
Yeah, and even right now, I mean, we had 2 fallout last month, and that was rare. Like
Got it.
that doesn't happen.
And what about so for the sales reps, once they get it under contract, what do they have to do?
It
Nothing.
notifies me in the system. We have a tag or like a opportunity or whatever it is that goes from prospect to comping to under contract.
Yeah.
And once it's under contract, it notifies me. I'm obviously already in the know of this because we're not doing that many deals.
Yeah.
So our TC notifies me. I look at it, and at that point, I make the decision: are we going to flip this? Are we going to wholesale it? Are we going to keep it as a rental? Or what's the plan here? Nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, it's a wholesale. And then if it's something that I really like in one of my best areas, I'll flip it myself.
Got it. Okay. And then like your acquisition team, what markets are you doing?
Arizona and Florida. We just opened up Tennessee and Ohio, and we
Tennessee
started
and
doing some
Ohio.
development in Tennessee, and then the Ohio market. We have a couple students out there that just kind of have some like FU money, and so
Yeah.
we're like, all right, well, might as well go where the money follows, and
Yeah.
if they've got it over there, might as well go and work some deals
Yeah.
with them.
So why Florida and Arizona?
Arizona is what I started with. I went to Texas first as my secondary market when
Yeah.
Arizona got tough. I did a handful of deals out in Bexar County in San Antonio. And it was
Oh,
cool.
okay.
The problem I had was Texas is a private state. So not having my license, it became super hard to comp properties, to get the information, the data, and so on. So let me back up. I started off in Tucson, Arizona, doing it virtual, and I
Mhm.
actually was selling deals to Ryan.
Oh, okay.
So Ryan, I found on social media. This is before Future Flipper and all that. But he was buying deals from us in Tucson, and then as I started seeing competition, 3, 4, 5 offers against me in Tucson, I figured I might as well just play with the big dogs in Phoenix. So that's
Yeah.
what I did. Direct to seller did not work out in Phoenix, so I started doing the agent outreach and the MLS deals. And then after that, I was like, well, why don't I do this in multiple markets? So I
Mhm.
did that in San Antonio. I found a little bit of success, wasn't great, shut it off, went back just to Arizona. And then in 2022, things were going pretty well. And obviously, then they weren't in May
Yeah.
and June. So I was like, well, let's open up another market. So we
Yeah.
opened up Florida. And honestly, Florida kind of saved us in 2022.
So
Tampa.
Florida. Got it. Yeah, because I think so. I was doing all in Vegas, and then I moved to Cali. I went all in Cali. Then I moved back to Vegas, and then I was trying to do all in Vegas. And honestly, I just felt like it was so competitive. I was like, I need to
There's
turn
like
back
no
on
listings in
Cali.
Vegas.
Yeah. So I turned back on Cali, and that was a game changer. So
Mhm.
sometimes adding a market is like,
Florida was only good for us because we had so many connections in Florida. Like I have so many people and agent investors in Florida. I have so many people in my database that are licensed in Arizona and Florida. So I was like, well, it's not that hard to turn on that market. I was a little scared after the bad experience in Texas, even though
Yeah.
we made a little bit of money. But my acquisition team was pretty like supportive of it. So we turned that on. We ended up closing like 12 deals in the first 3 or 4 months. Wasn't bad at all. And then Florida's just been consistent since then. It's like 1 to 2 deals every other month. It's nothing
Got it.
crazy. Just
Okay. Do you see like and then I want to talk about like what you've seen in your community, but
sure.
what's the biggest difference between like doing deals in Florida and then doing deals in Phoenix?
I think there's always something to be said about doing deals virtually. Virtually is tough. Like you're not there, so to go and not be able to drive to the property, control if the buyers are there or driving by, the sellers and whatnot. I don't believe in the whole boots on the ground thing. I use
Oh.
that for like photos or if I need someone just to open a door. Very rarely or on off occasion. More often, it's easier just being in your local market.
Yeah.
So Phoenix has always got my heart. Florida, it's just more of opportunity. And
Yeah.
if the opportunity is there, I'm a capitalist, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
go take any opportunity where it is.
Yeah, so like during this road trip, I've never like I've came to Phoenix. The last time I was in Phoenix, I think I did Disruptors, and I was
Mhm.
here for like a day, and then I left. And then the time before that, I came for All In Freedom, the
Mhm.
very first one, and I went to that event, and then I was just there, and then I left. This is the first time that I've talked or spoken to multiple people in this market,
Mhm.
and it is a different market. I feel like there's way more off market. Wholesaling is
So.
way more popular. Dispositions is way more popular here. Like there's not a bunch of people in Vegas that just do dispositions, or
Oh yeah.
there is, I don't
Oh yeah.
know them.
Arizona is the mecca of real estate investing for sure. I mean, you've got all the gurus, you've got all the
Yeah.
big buyers, you've got a
Yeah.
lot of wholesalers, like you said. The disconnect, honestly, has been agents and investors because agents hate investors. Like,
I know.
they don't want to work with them. And I know that's a
That's
universal
so
thing,
funny.
but it's really bad out here. And it's
Yeah.
because they've been spammed so much by investors that
Ooh.
agents just hate it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we see a very big disconnect on the agency mixed with the investment side, which is why you see so many off-market transactions.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. So I used to hate investors when I was a realtor
Of
because I
course,
just
yeah.
didn't understand.
They're the bad guys.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They're
Like,
like, you're gonna try to get the house for cheap, unethical, all this
and
crap.
honestly, the conversation that most realtors don't want to have is that they're jealous because they wanted the listing or they wanted the
Yeah.
purchase. They
Oh
wanted the
yeah. The
commission on the sale.
competition. Yeah. That's
So,
what it is.
yeah.
So okay, your production. So what do you do? Like you personally now, how many deals do you get like a month?
I usually do about like 3 or 4 myself.
Three or
So,
four yourself.
yeah.
Okay. So you're doing a deal a week.
Mhm.
How many offers does it take, or like how do you get your deals?
It's always tough talking about this one because it's like, I don't want to bullshit anybody listening to this because, I'm sure a lot of people get on podcasts and stuff like
Yeah.
this where they're like, you just have to go and do this, this, or this. I built this up after 8 years and I've been doing the investment side for 4.5 years. I have a lot of deals that come to me.
Yeah.
So from my community, from
Relationships, yeah.
agents, I mentioned the tier system. We've got over 50 agents that are in my tier 5, which means that they should bring me 2 deals a year. Now, again, I'm not going to get up here and lie. We'll probably have around like 35 or 40 that bring us the 2 deals.
Yeah.
But 2 deals a year from 35, 40 agents,
That's
I mean,
great.
that's 75, 80 deals a year. So we're not doing bad by any means on that side.
Yeah.
But as for like my day to day, most of it honestly is structured around agent investors now. And I've done that
Okay.
all strategically because
Yeah.
of what we've done. I'm in a good spot financially that I feel like what I can do is put in time towards things I want to do. And I really
Mhm.
want to help people. So
Yeah.
agent investors is something that I spend a lot of time coaching, doing one-on-ones, constantly updating and creating more material for. And then from there, it's really just helping my acquisition team. What do you
Yeah.
guys need help with today? Which deals are the closest to the finish line? Which ones are countering us or countered us yesterday? How many do you have in the pipeline that could actually pop today? So
Yeah.
I'm constantly just like almost like a sales coach to them.
Yeah.
So I'm just overviewing everything from agent investors to my investment company,
Yeah.
34.
And then do you have VAs in your
We've got
regular
one
business?
part-time VA over there on the investment company,
Yeah.
and they help really with acquisitions, just making sure all of the stuff in the system, the integrations are doing what they need to.
Oh, okay.
But then everything from there, from agent investors to our agents, they use the same funnel just with different links. So it sends to my team every single day in a portal.
Oh,
It goes
okay.
to our high level. It also goes to our Discord just so they can see it. But it basically says, here's our address, here's the property, here's the photos. Do you have this under contract? So a lot of our inbound opportunities are brought by other wholesalers, other realtors, and my team just has to comp them.
Got it. I guess anything else on your investor side?
Nothing crazy. We don't use a dialer.
Is
They've
it
got the
click
one
to
in the
call?
system. Yeah, it's a click to call.
Is it Kixie? Or no?
Um,
You guys don't connect it to Kixie?
no, it's
No.
a
Oh.
smartphone.
Oh, smartphone.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
It's tied into high level, and so we text out of there, we call out of there. No triple line dialer, no
Yeah.
like spam or anything like that.
Do you don't text blast? No.
We stopped
No.
text blasting in February.
Why?
Same thing I said a minute ago about the agents and the investors kind of like butting heads.
Yeah.
Agents are really turned off with texts from investors. So the only way we were really getting positive responses is if I was coming across trying to be someone I wasn't. For example, my name is Ryan. Trying to find a house to purchase in Arizona. Not sure where to start. Got your
Mm,
information. So it
yeah.
sounds like it could have been a referral. It sounds
Yeah.
like I could be a buyer. It sounds like I might be a spam still. Just too much vague. And so what we found was better was actually just calling the agents.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we prioritize the agents on the MLS that have active listings, and we work with them primarily. And then from there, cold calling the ones that are in the database.
What would you say? And another thing that people need to understand about your business model is you are wholesaling from the MLS.
Mhm.
So that means you're not spending money on marketing and you're wholesaling.
Mhm.
That's
I am getting paid
so
a
key.
commission by the seller, and I'm getting paid a wholesale fee by the buyer.
Oh, you're
So
representing yourself too.
so we double dip is what our strategy we call, but I get paid like, dude, I'm the world's worst realtor, and if you look up all my stuff, you'll see I've probably got a good amount of stuff in the MLS from years and years ago, but I make more money than the average realtor does, and
Yeah.
I don't show homes. So I'm getting, and I'm not talking just assignment fees. I'm talking commission only. Like take
That's so funny.
all my investment stuff out. I make 150 to 200 a year off of commission alone.
and you're the worst real estate agent.
I'm the
You're
worst
so-
realtor. I'm literally the worst, and I don't show any properties.
Yeah.
I right now I actually am. I'm helping a few friends that I grew up with where we're going and showing them rentals. So clearly
Oh,
to show you
that's
how bad of a
funny.
realtor I am,
Yeah.
I'm not going and like prospecting clients. My friends that want to buy, sell, rent, invest, whatever, I'll help them. But aside from that, I'm not showing any property. You won't
That's
call me
funny.
and say, Ryan, I want to go see a house. I'm going to say, I have an agent over at my brokerage that I'm happy to refer you to.
Yeah, yeah. What about you said something there that was like I wanted to bring up. Oh, okay. So yeah, the main thing I want people to understand too is like wholesaling off the MLS because it's not flipping where
Mhm.
you're not spending money on marketing and then you're not spending money on flipping. You are straight
I'm flipping
like
paper.
arbitrage. Yeah, you're doing arbitrage. Oh, with the getting commissions part.
Yes.
So let's just say you do 20 deals. How many of those are you representing yourself?
About 5.
5. And
Yeah.
the rest you're
Unrepresented.
unrepresented.
Yeah,
Got it.
I don't have the listing agent represent me. I don't trust them. They don't
Oh,
deserve
so
it.
you don't even have the agent
Hell
represent
no.
you.
They don't deserve it.
Really?
Why would I? I love when gurus tell me, like,
Yeah.
oh, just go and have the other agent represent both sides. You'll get the deal. I'm like, I don't care about the deal. I
Yeah.
care about the relationship. And if I'm creating an expectation of entitlement, what do
Yeah.
you think the realtor's going to want the next time they bring me a deal? They're going to want both sides commission.
Oh.
I have a real estate license, so I'm entitled to commission, and I make it very known to them, not the first part of the conversation, but as we're starting to talk about deals, am I representing myself and writing up the paperwork? Or are you representing me? What's the process here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'd love to represent you. Okay, well, you can surely represent both sides, but whatever the commission amount is that you're making is going to be deducted off of my purchase price. Because if I'm not getting paid the commission, it's going to go into play into my assignment fee, if anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I play very hardball with that, but that's because I'm a licensed realtor that I could get commission, especially since it's on the MLS.
yeah.
Realtors don't deserve to get both sides of the commission just because some investor that's being lazy doesn't want to either work with a buyer's agent or be savvy enough to go unrepresented.
Yeah.
Because if you want to get super technical, going unrepresented as an investor
Uh-huh.
will actually get you a better deal than going with a dual agency.
Because then they don't have
Your
to pay
purchase
commission.
price is less. The
Mm.
sellers net more money because
Yeah.
they're not paying the agent both sides commission. So the
Mm.
seller wins, I win. The agent maybe doesn't get 6% or 5%. If they're really savvy, they could walk away with 3.5 to 4%.
Yeah.
So you're still getting more than what you probably would have. But in this case, they win, the seller wins, I win. And in an unrepresented transaction, technically, they're not even negotiating both sides commission. They're just getting what they were promised by the seller.
Wow. That's very unique.
I do that every day of the week. My first option is being the agent. The second option is I will go unrepresented and I'm accounting for not getting the commission. And then the third and last option, which is if I have to do this to get the deal, I will let the unethical agent that has clearly told me that they will only do the deal if they represent both sides
Yeah.
if they could do it.
That's so funny.
So
Yeah, agents are shady. Agents are so shady. It's
and that's
so
why they
funny.
don't get dual agency. With
I
me.
know, but it's so funny how unethical most agents are, and people have no idea. Like I'll talk to agents, and they're like, "Yeah, am I gonna represent you?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you want to do? And they're like, "Yeah, like they're
feel
pretty
like-
much like,
yeah,
I
I
need
have
to
to.
represent you, or you're
Or
not gonna
you're
get
not
the
gonna
deal."
get the deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and oh my God, I want to tell one quick story. So I was talking to this agent recently. It was like a $500,000 house in Montclair. I was talking to him. We were going to work together, right?
Mhm.
I follow up like a day later. He's like, "Oh, the seller talked to this investor and they agreed at 500." And I'm like, "Oh, is it under contract?"
Mhm.
No. I'm like, "Okay, offer the seller 520." Ghost me. I follow up again. I'm like, "Hey, offer the seller 520. Write up the offer and send it to me." Ghost me. I
They
call
used
him the
your
next
offer
day.
to-
No, I call him the next day. "Hey, submit this offer." "Oh, it's under contract now." I'm like, "So you had that seller accept an offer for 20K less and you didn't tell him about my offer. I told you to write it And that happens all the time.
all the time.
All the
And
time.
I hate to say it's just unethical, but this is also why I have no issue with the real estate commission changing. I don't believe realtors are worth what they get paid.
Oh my God, that's
Like,
so funny.
I'm sorry. And
That's so
I'm the
funny.
investor that's happy to pay whatever the realtor's asking for, but
Yeah.
I think the realtor should get a real skill set, which investors have, which is talking about what your value is in the transaction.
Yeah.
You want more money, assign the contract, wholesale
Yeah.
the deal, get equitable interest, and exercise your right to not just get a commission that you have to split with your broker and pay Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
You could be in control of the transaction.
That is hilarious that you said that. Yeah, because I think
Dude, I love realtors and they make me a lot of money. And the realtors that I work with, they also understand and respect my business model, and I respect theirs. They
Yeah.
can be a realtor that doesn't have to show homes, that works specifically just with an investor like myself. And if they bring me 2, 3, 4, 5 deals a year, they can make 40K a year by just
Yeah.
bringing me deals.
yeah.
So there's a lot of agents that understand that value. And
Yeah.
then for us, I mean, if we flip it, wholesale it, buy and hold it, whatever,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
That's so interesting. But okay, what else on your business do you think we need to cover? And then we'll talk about like students.
I don't know. I don't think I have much more. I mean, the only other thing I would say is like everyone that talks about their strategy is going to
Mhm.
tell you it's the best.
Yeah.
My strategy sucks. Okay. Like, I'm not going to tell you it's the best. My strategy is going to be the most tiresome. It's going to be the one that takes the most amount of physical labor, mental labor, all this stuff, because you have to actually get in the right mindset every day. So we see, just like any strategy in real estate, low success. But the ones that succeed with what we do understand what I'm about to say. The only bias I have about working on the MLS and working with agents is that it is the very best starting point.
Yeah.
If you don't have money to spend, don't do what I did and go direct to seller. Don't go spend a lot of money in coaching.
Yep.
Don't go spend money on trying to learn all these different lead gen sources.
Yeah.
Go and just do deals on the MLS by submitting offers and having conversations for free. Spend as much time as you need, but then when you get a deal that's 10, 15, 20K, you're not paying yourself back for an investment you made. You're now taking that money and allocating it towards something else or putting it back into the bank.
Yeah.
So I think people should start with this strategy and then graduate on to other things.
What do you think about let's talk about your mindset, right?
Yep.
So how have you kept a good mindset when things are going good and then when things are going not as good?
That's a great question. When things are not going good, I have a lot of perspective of it could be worse. And I keep that same perspective when things are good. Like,
Mhm.
you appreciate the good because of the bad you've gone through. So
Mhm.
I say this all the time in agent investors. I'm not more successful than people. I've just failed more than people.
Mm.
So I'm willing to go and make mistakes and learn from them. Whereas I think a lot of people aren't willing to make mistakes or even try to make the mistake. They're willing to just sit on the sideline and judge or not take action and then feel sorry for themselves because they don't have what they want.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't know. I mean, I've been humbled enough times in real estate that I'm not going to walk into a room with my head up high, being like, I'm the best thing in the world. I'm going to walk in the room, my head held up high, because I'm proud of what I've done in real estate, but also because I have the full perspective and understanding that every single person that is successful went through a whole lot of shit to get to where they're at today.
Yeah.
And most of the people, believe it or not, that are in the seats that you think you want to be in, you wouldn't want the lifestyle if you actually understood what it is they go through every single day.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've just got a lot of perspective, I think, from my experience in real estate and being in some powerful rooms,
yeah.
that it keeps me balanced. Aside from that, when things are going good, I feel like I'm usually a little more like generous. I'm a little more like, let's take care of everyone else around me.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of guy that wants to go buy the nice cars or the fancy houses or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm blessed. I've got a really good life. I've got an amazing fiance. I've got a couple dogs that I love.
Yeah. Are you
don't-
gonna have kids?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about, okay, so you've coached a bunch of people. What have you seen as like the difference between the people that make it and the people that don't make it?
This is a tough one to talk about on camera. I think the one thing that really stands out to me is upbringing. So, if people have support around them, whether that's family, that's friends, that's how they grew up or whatever it is, they have a slight bit of an advantage.
Really?
The ones that don't have the support growing up, or the ones that grew up with instability and uncertainty,
Yeah.
there's a lot more mindset work that has to be done up front than it is just application.
Interesting.
So, and I hate to classify that, because if someone's watching this, like, oh my God, my childhood sucked.
My childhood sucked and I made it, but yeah.
But look at your mindset.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
you were in the right rooms. You were working on personal development.
Yeah.
You made the right investment, even if it wasn't always money, but it was time into the right people.
Yeah.
You got in the right headspace.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they spend money on stuff that's application focused, but then you don't believe in yourself, or the people around you don't believe in you, or you've been just indoctrinated your entire life that you don't have this support and belief, that it ends up becoming a harder mindset battle.
Yeah.
So I would say that's one thing that stands out for sure. Aside from that,
Do you think market matters?
no. Because what I do, it's not the end all be all. What I do is about finding, really what I teach people, it's to go do one deal a month, making $7,500 per deal. That's $90K a year.
Yeah.
So if I can make you almost 100,000, most people aren't making that at their job. And if you're already making that and you're like, well, does that make sense to go and get out of your job? If you want more time and freedom and control, and that's the starting point, 90K.
Yeah.
So really market doesn't matter, because I think in some rural markets, you're going to do less deals, but you might have bigger spreads.
Yeah.
Find the 1, 2, 3 people that are your big buyers in town. One of them is probably a farmer, and go and sell the deals to them and make your little fee or whatever it is. And then if you choose to go to a different market, congratulations. You can.
Yeah. What would you say to people that say the MLS is dead and saturated?
You're right. So right. Please don't go to the MLS. Please. No. I think everything's tough. If you would rather spend money pulling data and
Yeah.
paying a VA and
Yeah.
paying for systems and going and then putting the time into something that you don't see a return on because you've already spent the money, you could do that. My
Yeah.
point is, everything's hard.
Yeah,
Nothing's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Joint ventures, a lot of people start there. I started there. Those were more complex than the commercial and business broker deals that I did as a realtor, where I didn't even know what the paperwork was that I was filling out.
Yeah.
The JVs were just everybody lying, constantly moving pieces and deals falling apart
I
left
know.
and right.
It's so annoying. Yeah.
Direct to seller, if you don't have at least 30K in the bank, you
Yeah.
shouldn't even consider direct to seller.
Yeah.
And then MLS and working with agents, yes, it's free. It's the lowest hanging fruit. But if you actually build and develop a skill set, and let's just be honest for a minute, you're going to make mistakes. So I'd rather you make mistakes on something that's free, where you can at least learn from it without being taken out of the industry.
100%.
So no, I mean, I think everything works. I think that the MLS is just a great starting point.
Yeah.
And then from there, my biggest profit margins come from my MLS deals.
Yeah.
Because I don't spend any money.
Yeah.
So
Anything else you've seen with people, like people trying to get into this and having success and the people that don't?
I mentioned support. Significant other's a big one.
Yeah.
If your significant other is constantly in your ear and challenging you and like doubting you, it's tough. So I think a lot of this really does come back to your circle, the people you're around. I think naturally as you get older, your circle gets smaller. For me, I found that the smaller my circle got, the less noise and bullshit I was listening to.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I just think find a good support system around you.
Got it. Okay. So like on the YouTube video, we're going to leave all your links in the description, but
Cool.
for the people listening to this on audio and Spotify, where do they go if they want to find you?
You can find me on any social media site, just my first and last name, Ryan Zolin, RyanZolin, or agentinvestors.com.
Beautiful. All right, brother. Thank you for coming
Appreciate
on. Thank you guys for listening and watching. If you haven't, subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you on the next episode.